What's up? My name is Eric Butler. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back. And from the San Francisco Chronicle, do San Francisco supervisors support arresting fentanyl dealers? We asked them. Well, if you have to ask, you probably already have a huge problem on your hands, right? Because fentanyl is a terrible issue in San Francisco. People are dying in the streets. The mayor at one point called a state of emergency. Well, everything's an emergency for these people. So they have fentanyl, they have poop, they have needles. Obviously, they have smash and grabs, they have car break-ins. And they're asking the supervisors, the lawmakers, do you want to get the drug dealers off the streets? Well, if it's come to that point, then you already have a problem. And of course, the supervisors aren't going to say, yeah, we need to get these people off the street, because that, of course, would be considered racist or stigmatizing. And they're not going to say, well, we should just let the drug dealers run wild, because that's not quite going to work either. So let's see what these people have to say about getting rid of the fentanyl dealers, which, of course, Mayor London Breed had pinpointed as basically being Honduran immigrants, but that, too, was considered racist. So when you point out the source of the problem, you become the problem, and that's why nothing ever gets done. Walking around the Tenderloin or Mission or South of Market, people often behold the blatant open-air drug markets and wonder what our elected leaders think of them. Are they shocked? Are they resigned? Do they care? Well, there's one way to find out. Ask them. Grow SF, the new love it or hate it politically moderate, debatable, advocacy group, sent Mayor London Breed and all 11 members of the Board of Supervisors an email this month asking them to sign a pledge reading, I support the arrest and prosecution of fentanyl dealers who are killing San Franciscans. Yeah, well, that sounds pretty moderate, I guess, especially. It's funny, too, that the San Francisco Chronicle would say moderate, because usually they would just say extreme far right-wing nut jobs, anybody who wants to clean up the streets, but it's gotten that bad. They got some answers, and I worked to get some more. Sure, the pledge is gimmicky and won't accomplish anything by itself, but it's important to get our leaders on the record about a horrific drug crisis that's killed nearly 2,000 people in San Francisco since 2020. Far more than Rona, and I've been saying that for a long time. They're telling you can't go into a restaurant, you can't go into a movie, you got to show proof of paperwork. Meanwhile, fentanyl is killing twice the amount of people as Rona did. While arresting and prosecuting fentanyl dealers is just one piece of the solution, along with opening supervised consumption sites to prevent overdoses. Okay, and there you have it. So not only are we going to arrest them, but we also need to make sure that they have a safe place to do their drugs. And that doesn't make sense, but this is San Francisco, so they're going to say, yeah, we should arrest them, but we should also make sure that the users have a safe place to shoot up. It doesn't make any sense. Providing treatment on demand and doing more to promote recovery. It's an obvious, important part of the package. And there was one video, I think, by Savannah Hernandez. She was in San Francisco, and she went with a gentleman to one of these needle exchange sites, and they gave him a whole box of clean needles and these little rubber bands to tie off with and little water squirters and all sorts of stuff so that he could do his drugs, quote unquote, safely. But then that very same man who was in cahoots with Hernandez said, can you point me in the direction of a recovery center or a rehab center? And they don't know anything about that, because, like I always say, you are more useful to them just on the brink of death. They don't want you to be cognizant. They don't want you to question anything. They want you to just be barely alive and begging them for every single thing that you need. So who's on board? Stephen Buss, director of Grow SF, said he got quick agreements to sign the pledge from Breed, as well as supervisors Catherine Stefani, Matt Dorsey, Raphael, whatever, the rest of these supervisors. So apparently they signed it, and they say they want to get rid of these fentanyl dealers. Of course, nothing's going to ever happen. No one has said no. The rest just ignored us, Buss told me. San Franciscans deserve to know if their elected officials, the people they voted for, don't believe in enforcing laws. That is a fundamentally disqualifying behavior and trait. Well, they've been completely brainwashed. So now they're kind of, I guess, just barely figuring it out the hard way that these people have been lying the whole time. Now, I guess part of the time they're not even lying because they don't have to say anything. Even ask a woman like Katie Hobbs in Arizona. She went on record telling you that she doesn't even have the respect for you to debate her opponent and tell you her platforms. That's how far out of reality these people are. And that's how sure they are that the machine is going to go to work for them. And I don't know who's pulling those strings, but somebody's working for them. Wait. The majority of San Francisco Board of Supervisors opposes the arrest of fentanyl dealers. That would be quite the headline, but it's not true. Several just didn't want to play ball with Grow SF which has close ties to the tech industry and supported last year's recall of 3 school board members and District Attorney Chesa Boudin. Okay, so apparently maybe they are an actual group of moderates who have some sort of liberal values and want to live in San Francisco, but don't want the weirdo school board members pushing gender ideology on kids, and they don't want this lawless, Soros-funded Chesa Boudin letting criminals out all over the place. Because, for the record, saying that you don't want kids indoctrinated by weirdo, sexually confused teachers isn't a conservative thing. It isn't a right-wing thing. It's just common sense. But this is how far we've come from reality. I asked the remaining supervisors whether they support arresting and prosecuting fentanyl dealers, and all but one answered. Supervisor Shaman Walton, who didn't respond to text, while his legislative aides didn't respond to emails with the same question. Board President Aaron Peskin texted, I don't sign silly political pledges, but I support the arrest and prosecution of fentanyl dealers. So why didn't you do it? Because he knows that nothing's going to happen. He knows that they're going to continue to run the streets. He knows that they are benefiting from the criminals who continue to run the streets. He knows that they have backdoor deals with the fentanyl test strip company and backdoor deals with the needle company and all sorts of things. It's very similar to what we saw with Rona. They make deals, they get paid. And it's the same thing. It's been going on longer than Rona, making deals. And I said this years ago, or maybe not years ago, months ago, maybe years ago. I don't know. I'm getting off track. But I said that these California politicians have some hand in the drug trade. There's no reason for them to enjoy safe consumption sites. There's no reason for them to advocate for sanctuary cities and alert migrants when ICE is coming. There's no reason for them to do any of that. There's no reason for them to allow people to sleep in tents around a bed of needles, but they do because they're benefiting somehow, some way. I can't pinpoint it. I can't prove it. It's just my weirdo tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, I guess. Supervisors Marna Melgar and Hillary Ronan called to give more nuanced responses. Oh, of course. Well, you see, let's see. Melgar said the pledge itself is meaningless because supervisors don't have control over arresting and prosecuting people. That's the role of police and the district attorney. But she confirmed she supports arresting and jailing fentanyl dealers. Okay, fair enough. I supported Brooke because she's serious about tackling the issues, Melgar said. We went through this whole recall, and that's what it was all about. Things have gotten out of control in this city. Yeah, absolutely. Police have handed Jenkins 538 felony narcotic sales cases from July 8th through February 9th, according to her spokesperson. She filed charges in 89% of them. Her office said Boudin received 352 similar cases during the same period and filed in 75% of them. Jenkins has sought pretrial detention in 17 cases in which a person charged with selling fentanyl had been accused of the same offense several times before. So they basically wait until you commit this crime multiple times before they even try to stop you. And that's how bad it's gotten in San Francisco. This goes on and on and on. Nobody's reading through all this. The point is, if you have to ask a lawmaker in San Francisco if they are okay with arresting people who break the law, then you've got a huge problem. They're okay with not letting you into a gym or not letting you into a movie or a restaurant if you don't comply with their agenda. But when you literally break the rule and peddle drugs that are killing people, then we have to think about it. It's a little bit more nuanced. So, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe.